I was upset, man. After I got this, I found like 3 other Chelsea shirts that I would have got. I was mad as hell.
Listen, we are live. Do not adjust your sets.
I was upset, man. After I got this, I found like 3 other Chelsea shirts that I would have got. I was mad as hell. That's late.
We good. We're doing a cold open. That's what we do in the podcast world. There's cold open sometimes where it's a
cold open
and some stuff happening. Welcome to the show.
It's been a minute.
1. This is Stoppage Time FC season preview show back. We haven't been here in a while, so we had to bring the whole gang back. Zach in the building, Joe, Diego, my best friend in the whole wide world. My man Jack is here. Trav is here. Listen, it seems like the summer went by slow, but then sometimes it did. In some cases it didn't. So we're here to preview the Premier League season. We probably jump into a little bit some of the other parts of Europe before we sign off about 10 o'clock Eastern. Remember, Stoppage Time FC is the YouTube. You should be subscribed. Stoppage Time Football Club is the Facebook group. Joe, I guess we'll start with you. Seeing like you won the treble and whatnot, I guess we kind of should start there.
We did, didn't we?
But some changes in Man City also over the summer. Some shifting around, some ins and outs. Kind of what's the temperature of the treble winners as we head to the new season?
Well, I think people would have expected there to be a few more changes that were going on. Because now it only stands at Riyad Mahrez, and potentially we'll see what happens in about 3 or 4 days with Ilkay Gundogan exiting. But we have since brought in a not a like-for-like replacement in Mateo Kovacic, but somebody who can add some depth and bring some new skill set to the Man City midfield. And the big signing was Mr. Josko Gvardiol to shore up the defense. Josko Gvardiol, you might have heard of him. So we've strengthened the back line. We still might have another exit or two, but people were expecting us to probably lose Kyle Walker and Bernardo Silva, and at this point, it looks like they are not going anywhere and are more likely to sign extended contracts to stay around and improve their salary. So they are not leaving. That was kind of the talk all transfer window for us, was what's going to happen with Bernardo Silva. And he apparently is very close to re-upping with Man City for improved contract details, and he is not going anywhere. So pretty quiet. We only had 2 outgoings, major outgoings, and then 2 incomings. So 2 Croatians, which is prior to us winning this past year, been a requirement to win the Champions League. You had to have at least 1 Croatian on the team. So we got 2 now.
Listen. Now, I want to switch this over to the other Blues, because remember when you play Monopoly with your family, and the person who was the banker had to be a little bit trustworthy, because some hundreds and fifties might come sliding out a little. So I want to get to my man Jack, my man Zach. The Currency Exchange FC, a.k.a. Chelsea. It was $600 million in January. We all had our joke. Oh, man, they spent $600 million. But all of a sudden, the transfer window opens. And it was a garage sale. Like a garage sale of the highest order. And this is not even slander, because they got almost all the money back. And was able to get that money. So Jack, with this turned over roster, what are the expectations right now in Stamford Bridge? Because I feel like the 12th place finish has almost been forgotten now with everything that's happened this summer.
I can't wait to defer to Jack on this one. My man, you go ahead and start this off. I'll defer to the second half.
Okay. So let me start by saying, first First show of the season. I hope Kai Havertz and Mason Mount get hit by a bus.
Let's go. Let's start early.
And I hope that Lukaku is shortly thereafter. But back to my team now. With that being said, 12th place is not forgotten. No, it is not, because we have a constant reminder that we are not in Europe this year. Outside of that, though, I'm optimistic. The expectation level is just be better than last season at this point, I imagine. Because last year was pretty damn bad. And again, we have no European football, so all the focus should essentially kind of be on the Premier League. I would predict, at least as of now, seeing how things have gone. I know it's preseason, so let me not jump the gun. But I think we would at least maybe finish in Champions League places. That's about all I can hope for at this point.
Did you just use the word optimistic?
Yes, I did. I did. Yes.
Well, I don't want to like, that's a big word. Like for you,
here we go.
Like optimism and Jack just don't go hand in hand, folks. Like I don't really like, this is monumental here. I need to thank God we got this on live so we can go back and screen record this, because I'm floored. I don't even know what to say. I should have taken the ball in the first half, because I'm at a loss for words now. Wow, that's a hell of an intro you got there, Jack.
Threw you off.
Yeah, you definitely threw me off. I'm going into this season with a blank slate and an open mind, and that was kind of how I took it at the end of last year. Was it's what's in the past is in the past, and the only thing you can do when you have the roster turnover, new owners, a club without a main sponsor, like you just got to take it as it comes. It's kind of going to be a week at a time kind of thing. I'm going to assess this club on a weekly basis. I have literally zero expectations, especially if we end this transfer window and we don't bring in any more like midfield, or any more players with some top flight experience, because we're going to be youthful AF, as the kids say. I know they were displaying during the preseason the average age of the first team roster, and we went from last place to first place real quick with an average age of like 23, and that's counting 46-year-old Thiago Silva. Like, that's a hell of a swing. So I do love seeing all the people that cry about, oh, Chelsea are ruining football, they spend too much money, yada yada this, and you Ron, I gotta point it out, because over the last 3 seasons alone, net spending wise, you guys are negative 700.
No,
that's net spending, sir.
Yeah, we bad at selling players. Ain't no doubt about that.
So with Jack being optimistic and Zach being open-minded, that must mean y'all agree on something.
No.
Oh, okay. I'll just make sure.
Supporting, man. I'm supporting. I'm supporting. So
no, we don't do that here. In the words of my friend, late great Chadwick Boseman, we don't do that here.
Oh man.
Great question, Trav. Great question.
So
we agree.
I think honestly, Chelsea has an opportunity. I think, especially with the Champions League now being top 5, it's an extra Champions League spot now.
Yeah,
this year.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
It was to me.
An extra Champions League spot.
The Champions League's getting bigger.
Yeah,
I did remember that. Now as you mentioned, I do remember
that's
that.
the fifth spot. So I think
They're adding for the Club World Cup. I think that's part of
Mm.
it. They're adding more teams there as well.
Yep.
Oh, Saudi might really get a spot.
This guy.
I think so. Chelsea, even with this really young team, with you talk about just to focus on domestic only. I expect Chelsea. This is not trying to put the pressure or be a jinx. I really think Chelsea should finish in the top 5, even with everything that's happened with the turnover, young squad, new manager, like new kit sponsor, which was announced like today. Like everything is brand new at Chelsea, but I still think it's enough to finish top 5 for sure.
We gonna see come Sunday, Trav.
Yes, Chelsea and Liverpool in the main event on Sunday to open the Premier League season. Now, let me go ahead and get this out of the way because Zach talked about Arsenal being 700 mil in the hole on player sales, right? So my expectations are as high as they've been in years, probably about 10 years. To me, there's only 2 things that can happen this year that will make me happy. I see you leaning in, Jack, so you just go ahead and lean in. Only 2 things that can happen. Either they win the league, one. If they don't win the league, they got to win both cups. They got to win both of them. Simply
Wait, FA and Carabao?
got to win them both.
Okay.
That's a successful season to you?
I just wanted to make sure if UCL was included in that or not.
If they don't win the league, here's what I'm saying about the CL. Now, I think the CL actually this year is wide open. I think there are honestly about 6 teams that can win it, including, despite everything that's happening, we joke about the levers and the leveraging. Barcelona is one of them 6 teams that can absolutely win it. Because if you look at what's happening, PSG is essentially being dismantled before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You'd love to see it.
If Bayern don't get a striker, that's not the scariest proposition anymore if Bayern doesn't have a striker. So now you're talking about Man City, Madrid, maybe. The UCL actually is going to be open for there's like 6, 7 teams who could win it. I don't expect Arsenal to be one of those 6 or 7 because we just haven't been in this so long, and you've not been in it in that long. You don't just come back in and win it the year you return. Like that just don't happen. But so yeah, for me, either they win the league or they win both domestic cups. Anything that's not one of those 2 things is a disappointment to me.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
Let's say that none of those 3 happen.
Mm-hmm.
What happens at the end of the year? Does Mikel Arteta still have a job?
He does, because he's really entrenched with the Cronkies. Like he's their guy.
So there's going to be another David Moyes at West Ham situation.
Yeah, he's not under any threat. It would have to be a disaster for him to lose his job. He'll be there, but for me, if it's not A or B, I'll be disappointed because I think now this is fully his team. Everybody in the first 11 and the bench is his guy. So there's no more Aubameyang, there's no more Lacazette, there's no more anybody from the previous regime. Those are all players now.
Now, Ronnie, your name there is the Community Shield Champs of the World.
Yeah,
so
Community Shield Champions of the world, Craig.
I'm assuming you watched the game.
Yes.
Which of your new signings impressed you the most?
Oh, Timber is already the best defender on the team. Like Timber, I'm not gonna say the best defender. Him and Saliba to me are tied. Right now, those are the 2 best defenders on the team. And
Don't you slander Ben White's name like that.
Ben White has been better than he's gotten better, but Timber's gonna play a lot. Like Timber's gonna be the reason that Kieran Tierney ends up back in Scotland before the end. Before
Tierney's
yeah.
Tierney is Arteta's boy though. Because I watched that Amazon special and those two have a bond.
They are tight, but not as Zinchenko's here and Timber's here. He's not gonna play. He's not going to play a lot. Kieran Tierney will be in another kit before September 1st. But yeah, so those are Timber with Saliba. I think this is the best team they've had since they moved to the Emirates. Talk about moving stadiums.
So what was your impression of Kai Fried Rice?
Kai Fried Rice, and this is I see what Chelsea fans have complained about him.
It's been one game.
Because I don't know what he plays.
He's not a center forward, and they, for whatever reason, keep putting him there.
He's not a center forward. He's not really a wing. I'm not a fan of him playing that deep in the midfield. It's going to be an interesting. Kai Fried Rice is going to be an interesting experience, and I feel like that face that Jack is making is a lot of Arsenal fans' faces if he doesn't get off to a good start.
Good luck, buddy. It's your problem now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, like I know why Chelsea bought him because I saw what he did in a number 10 role in the Bundesliga and it was brilliant. But if you need him to play hold up play or link up play, that shit is not happening, friends. Like, and that for the life of me, I can't understand how now he's gone through, let's see, he went through 5 managers at Chelsea and now 1 at Arsenal. They all think that he can play that 9 role. And it's incredibly maddening.
That's the one thing I know he's not. He's definitely not that. He's not, he's not Diego Costa. He's not going to turn his back to the goal and sit. He's not going to do that. I don't know what I really don't know what he does. And I'm not even trying to say he's not a good player. I don't know what he does.
So I think the real issue with him, and as much as he was one of my favorites when he was here, I've always said this about him since the moment he's gotten here. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why he has yet to adapt to it. But that man almost refuses to adapt to the Premier League style of play. That's why he sucks so bad at hold-up play. Like, he literally hasn't changed anything since he's gotten here. Nothing.
He's still trying to play like he's in the Bundesliga.
Exactly.
And it's a completely different game. It's more physical. It's, it's faster. It's not the same. And that's why he gets into trouble so often. And Jack hit the nail on the head there. And that's what's so frustrating about him is you'd think now after what, 5 years? 4
or 5 years?
Yeah. That you'd be like, light bulb, maybe this is not working. Let's try a different approach. And it's literally the definition of insanity. It's
I don't know what Kai's gonna be. Kai's gonna need you hate to say a player that's already been in England for like 3-4 years needs an adjustment period, but it's gonna be one to figure out what he does. To really figure out what do you do?
Regardless of what he does, I don't see where y'all needed him either way.
It's a weird sign. No, it's weird. I will fully agree. When his name first came up, I was like, why? But at 60 whatever million, we're gonna find out why. We'll find out. And speaking of why, I want to get Diego in here because we talked about the Premier League. I want to go outside the Premier League for a second. Because there are 3 guys, the 3 of the most interesting transfers that haven't happened yet. We got Jack and Zach's old buddy Lukaku, number 1.
Don't you dare.
We have Neymar, who apparently Neymar pulled the Jimmy Butler style trade request. I'll do it 3 weeks before the deadline. We just trash. Trav's a big Jimmy Butler fan, we all know. And then the third one, which I think is so petty and it's filled with violence. You have PSG who pulled the Mbappe poster off the stadium today, which was like, okay. So, Diego, I want to go to you as someone who has a pulse on what's going on outside of Europe. What the hell happens with these three? Because these are not like three squad players. These are like three real dudes who we just are just kind of in this area. Zach, I know your feelings on Lukaku. I get it.
It's two dudes and like a quarter.
Okay, so
two and a quarter.
Let's do 2.5 Men like the TV show.
Man, yeah.
Yeah. What happened?
I think I've said it in the chat. Mbappe, he needs to definitely leave PSG to find his full potential as next heir to the throne. I think PSG is not the place to do it. I know he's French and he's home, and there's a lot of pull there, but that club is dead to me. I've said it before. That club is dead to me. As soon as the fans started booing the greatest player of all time, so whether Madrid still has some kind of interest or any other club, in England, I think Mbappe would be best in either La Liga or the Premier, and then with Neymar, that is quite interesting because Neymar in his full potential was one of the best players in the world. Neymar since going to PSG and his time there hasn't quite achieved that level again. Injuries are part of it. Those ankles are glass, but
only during Carnival.
Yeah. Neymar hasn't reached that potential or being that player that he once was, and now he's approaching or maybe already 30 or approaching 30 years old, and you're starting to wonder, well, I don't think any big European club team has any interest for Neymar at this point. And that's tough because I know he wants to leave. He'd probably love to go back to Barcelona. They have a wonderful project. You throw Neymar in there and it gets quite interesting. Yes, you got it. Got to pull the lever.
Pull the lever.
But I don't looking at it from a team perspective, I don't know that throwing Neymar in Xavi's system right now would be a great fit. I think Xavi has something going there with a lot of youth, and has now found, I think, a pretty darn good balance between veteran leadership and some very bright youth. So, and fact of the matter is, Barcelona doesn't have money to pay Neymar because Neymar is going to want a ridiculous salary to play half the season and be injured the other half. So it's like, we've already been through Dembele. We don't need Neymar now,
Right.
So I gotta tap in real quick, real quick, because I'm sorry. I really
Here we go.
I really didn't like that Neymar criticism, man. Like, I really didn't, because that man barely played last year and he still put up 13 and 11. He had
Okay, but that's in League
hold
One.
on. And did he not have like his best top flight season period, like under Tuchel, which would have been at PSG? All right, that's fine. Cool. Whatever.
And I
hope he
get
finds it.
no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Neymar is still, a top player. I'm not saying that he's not a top player. I'm saying the Neymar that is scoring 30 goals a season, getting 15 assists, dazzling defenses. When he's on the field, fantastic. Neymar, last season struggled with injuries. We didn't get to see him much, and he's aging. And then you got to think from a business perspective. Are you going to invest that kind of money in a player that you don't know? There's too many uncertainties that I wouldn't drop that kind of money. And not that Barcelona has any money, but I'm just saying.
I got a question. I got a question.
Go ahead, Trey.
I'm sorry.
Is Neymar one of those? Is he like eligible for like one of them Saudi Arabia type teams or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that may be something to think about.
I don't think he would mind that at all.
I don't think he.
I don't think I'm believe it or not, I'm gonna side with Diego on this. Like, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze right now with Neymar. If he was, 5-6 years ago, peak Barca like Neymar, in a heartbeat, I would take the risk of injury to get that caliber of player. I don't know when the last time he completed a full season was. It might have been 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, no, that I did notice that. That is actually terrible. He's played 22 games max in like the past 5 seasons.
And that's wild considering they generally always win the cups. They go deep in the Champions League, and they have 36 odd games in their league. So, like that's awful. That's like Diego said, that's half a season.
Same thing with Dembele. Dembele, he could be a top player, one of the top 10 wingers in the world, maybe even top 3 wingers in the world with his ability. But injuries have not been respectful to him, and he's missed almost probably 2 to 3 seasons worth of games since joining Barcelona.
I think another problem for Neymar is when you get to this certain level of, this was an similar issue for Messi. If you want to stay in Europe, realistically, there's only about 3 places you can go at the money that Neymar is going to command. And honestly, and this is me with a little bit of jealousy, 2 of the teams are represented on this screen. Realistically, it's Man City, it's Chelsea, it's Madrid. That's it. Nobody else is paying that or can afford it. So I think for Neymar, it's going to be and we know if he comes to the Premier League, if you can't stay fit in League 1,
well,
it's going to be in the Premier League, the skill level. The skill level in the Prem is not as high as La Liga or like Serie A, but the speed and the physicality. If you have injury problems elsewhere, this is not the league to be in. If you have fitness problems,
well, Coach already said no. So
yeah, Poch put the quick kibosh on that. So now we talk.
He ain't coming here. No.
You see it in his face.
He and Pep, no.
Well, and this is always something that intrigues me, is now he's not being linked with Bayern, right? So he's not being linked with Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, Bayern definitely not happy.
Poch already said no. What does that tell you about Neymar as a player?
Didn't Diego say no too?
Well, I think his agent is got Xavi and that front office on the horn. But we go back to the financial piece. To bring Neymar back to Barcelona, there has to be, he's going to demand a large contract. And I don't know, the only way to be able to sign him, you gotta sign him long term. And I don't think signing Neymar long term is a good idea.
At 31.
Not at his age. So any short-term contract is out of the question because he's going to demand the biggest contract on the team. So there, I don't think it'd be a good fit just financially. I would love to have Neymar back. Don't get me wrong, but the finances aren't there.
I think he's Wolfgang stuck. And I'm being completely honest. I think he's literally stuck.
I think he is too. I think he's stuck. I think Lukaku is probably stuck.
He's making himself stuck. We don't want him. He can go wherever. He's making himself stuck.
He's technically y'all player, right?
Yeah.
Unfucking fortunately.
Did you?
I got a place. I actually have a place for Neymar. I hear Inter Miami has one designated player spot left.
I'm with you, Diego. Let's go. Let's just bring the whole band.
Hey, let's bring the band back together. Get Suarez on the horn. Let's go. Iniesta already signed with United Emirates, so he's out of the question.
Time the fuck out. How does Inter Miami have any DP players available?
They purchased the last DP. Yeah, they got Beckham pulled some kind of deal there where he traded or purchased an extra designated player. And honestly, I think they're waiting for Gremio to finish their contract with Suarez, and then that's going to be his spot. But if not, hey, just bring Neymar. Messi, Neymar, Robert Taylor, Joseph Martinez. Let's go.
Jesus Christ!
Listen, Inter Miami. If they get Neymar, listen. I'm just here for the potential of Instagram Live of Neymar randomly in whatever club on South Beach at 2:00 in the morning. Just for that alone.
That's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
The best part about that is he wouldn't have to worry about getting injured to go to Carnival because they don't play then.
Right?
Man, that team out there in Miami.
Zach.
That team out there in Miami and the publicity that it's been getting I'm talking about, dude, the stars show up. Like,
just the GOAT.
Dude.
The Messi show. Welcome to the United States.
They play Atlanta on September 16th. The top of the Georgia Dome, like up over like where Zach's head is at.
Yeah.
is like $300.
Dude.
To be on the roof essentially of the Georgia.
Looking like specs. You got to watch the Jumbotron just to see what is going on.
Man, hey man, I just got a report on my phone. That might just scored another goal.
I'm telling you, like.
Now I'm gonna talk about this. And Joe, I know Joe and Zach are more closely follow MLS. So I want to ask you also, and Trav talked about the publicity for the league. And the publicity, the revenue is through the roof. Is this really good though? That while he is the greatest player on the planet, greatest player of all time, the fact that he is coming into this league and making this league look really childish, is this a concern if you to MLS that this is like a little bit too easy?
No, You want to know why?
I'm listening.
It's messy.
It's money.
It-
Any
publicity.
money made trumps any bad publicity that they'll get. Like, and shout out to Corey Fernandez. He posted in the group the other day, like saying that he basically looking to make the league look childish. But I mean, okay, yeah, he's older now and doing it still, but this isn't something new for Messi. He did it in La Liga. He did it in Ligue 1. Like the man
Yep.
just dominates
Just won-
wherever he goes.
Just won a World Cup at 35.
Yeah.
You know, dominating international football. I'm with you, Zach.
All publicity is good publicity at this point, and
Amen.
he's bringing eyes to the league. He's bringing excitement to the stadium, to the atmosphere. Even though when he tends to sub out, the crowds usually go with him and exit. That's okay though. It's bringing eyes and attention to the league where they otherwise wouldn't get it, and that's always a good thing.
God,
My-
no. Go ahead, Diego. I think you about to
Oh
say
no,
something.
I was just gonna say along with that, it's definitely the Messi show, and people are paying to see him. My brother was at the Dallas game, and Messi scores, and he told me they're chanting his name. So now you got Dallas crowd. So imagine playing a home game and you got your fans. It's no longer home. It's no longer a home game.
No.
They're there to see Messi, and they're chanting his name when he scores, or when he makes a big play. Everyone's off their seats. You hear the roar from the crowd. So, it's a unique dynamic that I think that even the MLS players are going to have to get used to, because their home fans are there to see him anyways.
So real quick before I think we'll probably jump into some sort of like predictions. Diego, I was thinking about this. You know, you
Yes.
were upset with the Lucas Zelarayan transfer. I don't think that transfer happens without Messi coming to the league, because these players, the best players in the MLS, are now getting scouted by other leagues. And, you know, I think that the Zelarayan transfer was 100% a product of the exposure and publicity from Messi coming to the MLS.
I think yes, I think it does play a big factor. I think all eyes now have transferred to the MLS. The world now is watching the MLS where it wasn't before. So yes, I think you're right. And you have the Saudis that are now willing to drop money on top players. So I like, and I'm very hopeful with the move to replace Zelarayan. They signed Rudy Camacho to strengthen the defensive side. They also acquired some general allocation money from Montreal, split up 200,000 for the rest of this season, and then they're going to allocate another 200,000 for the 2024 season. And they went out and got Diego Rossi from Fenerbahce. So
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, hopefully Diego Rossi adapts well in Columbus and can fill that number 10 role that they're looking to fill in. Because Zelarayan, he came in with a bang. First season, MLS Cup championship, and has really, this season has been phenomenal, earning an all-star spot. So,
well, didn't Rossi win the Golden Boot at LAFC?
LAFC. Mm-hmm.
He's proven in the MLS at this point, and he and Cucho should form a really nice partnership up top.
I bet you'd be happy about that, wouldn't you? Because you have
Absolutely, I
Cucho
would.
on your fantasy team, don't you? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
He's doing very well this season. He's adapted really well. The big number 9, Ramirez, he's scoring some important goals for Columbus. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out, but I'm pretty hopeful for Columbus to get a playoff spot.
Deep dive into MLS. I think we're going to get that tonight, folks. You know, don't say we don't talk about other stuff besides Premier League, because you just got a lot more info than you ever thought you was going to get on some MLS. And we could have gone further. I got more to say, but we got a little bit of a time limit tonight on that. So that's a conversation to be shelved for another time.
How's that for diet soccer?
Yeah, don't ever say stoppage time. Then we talk about the Premier League. Listen.
Hey, I do have one more question though.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Messi, basically best soccer player
Ever.
When he leaves soccer, retires, where will his statue be? Should it be everywhere he didn't play? Or is it gonna be in one place? If it's one place, where would that place
be? Yeah, it'll be in Barca. Like that.
It better
be
be
something in Argentina too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Argentina, but
Messi is so good, he could replace the statue of Jesus in Brazil.
You want to start a ride, don't it? Well, I mean, it is
That's
Messi.
gotta start international trouble.
Yeah, that would be an all-out war for a myriad of reasons. But
Yes,
he's that good.
if Barcelona knows what's good for them, eventually they will bring him back for a deserved farewell. Because the way things went down now, 2-3 years ago, that was quite sad. That's not how a player like that should leave a club, especially after 16, 17 years being there and winning and transforming that club. So
absolutely. So let's get into some predictions. Do you want to do the basic Champions League prediction, basic who's gonna win the league, or you want to have some fun with it? How you want?
Let's have some fun with it.
Okay. Joe, Erling Haaland, over under 25 goals in the league.
Ooh.
Over?
Yes. He just put up 36. I don't know if he's going to top that, but I think he's going to get close to 30 again.
Okay.
That's tough.
That's tough. Even as great as he is, that's a lot of damn goals.
Especially in the Premier. It's not look how long Alan Shearer's record stood for.
A long time, yeah.
I mean, he's still shattered in his first season. I don't really know what we're talking about here right now.
Yeah, but as good as Haaland is, and then this is by me no means saying that he's going to fall off the face of the earth.
Mm-mm.
Every team adapts a little bit, and every team's going to play him a little bit harder. Now, I'm not saying that Haaland also can't adapt and he can't get better, because he's young enough, he can absolutely do it. So if he does somehow, hit 25 or 30 or 35 again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm surprised, but I'm also not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't be surprised to see him stumble a little bit this year.
Barring injury, I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to hit 25.
You gotta.
He has been injured in the past, though, so that
you gotta figure there's a dry patch at some point. Like last year, it was 36. I don't know. I think I've read something where he never went 3 matches in a row without scoring, or something like that. Like there has to be a dry patch in here somewhere. So I'll say over, but if he gets 30 again, then we have another.
You put the number pretty low. I definitely I would probably say over, but I would, if you would have put it at 30, I'd have said under.
Under.
I'll take that. I'll take that over as well. I think Holland, we're seeing another player that has the caliber of Mbappe in terms of scoring. And I think Mbappe and Holland are going to be a new era as Messi and Ronaldo were, where I think they'll dominate stats for, a whole decade. So, yeah, barring injury, of course, hopefully, injuries are respectful to these world-class players, but yeah, I'll take the over. I think Holland can hit over 25 easily.
All right. So Jack, I know Jack is optimistic. So let me go with an optimistic question. I'm gonna test his optimism right here.
Ooh.
If Chelsea don't win a cup of some type, this is a disappointment this season. Any of them.
Yeah, you mess with that one. I could care less about those cups, y'all.
Interesting.
I could care less. That's not going to determine my season at all, honestly. I would put a bigger, it would be more important to me where we finished within the league than to win any trophy this season that we can win.
Okay, so let's rephrase the question. Lowest position in the league that would make you happy.
Lowest position that would make me mad.
Mad or happy, either. But obviously, winning the league is everyone's most happy.
I know how I answer this. The league position that we can finish in, where I'll still be, I guess, accepting of how our season went. I think at this point, since it's a top 5, quote unquote, if we finish within the 6 spots, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I won't. I may not be thrilled. I may not be talking shit about our season, saying that we played great, but I'll be okay with our season considering where we're starting from.
But what's the difference between 6 and 7? 7 would be a Europa League spot too, if I'm not wrong. Like if I'm not mistaken,
it might be a Conference League one though.
No, because it was always top 4 were UCL, and then 5 and 6 were Europa League. Right? Or am I wrong?
I thought it was 4, 1, and 1.
I think the spot is Europa now.
I'll check.
I'm about to say I was going to look right now, actually. Table.
Basically, you're saying that
all the top 5 European leagues are getting getting an additional spot.
I'll sum it up this way. If we play in Europe next season, I'll be fine. How about that? If we play in Europe next season, I'll be fine.
Does that include the Conference League?
That is like the lowest on my list. But I guess at the end of the day, Europe is Europe. My only requirement, if we go there, is the regular Europa League. You better win that motherfucker. You better win it. We did it with the Europa League twice, so we're 100% so far. But that's my only request. If you go down that low, y'all better win it.
So I'll shoot this up to Diego. Barcelona obviously wins the league last year. What's the expectation for this year? Is it
win it again? La Liga is a very important title. I think any league title shows your team's consistency throughout the year, and I think the other tournaments, Champions League, Copa del Rey, they're going to be important titles. But in Barcelona, it's to compete in every single tournament and try to win the most amount of championships possible.
So in your eyes, the La Liga is more important than the UCL.
Oh no, I think I think there's a very close line here where it's difficult to win the Champions League. It's the top tournament, we'll say the top club tournament in the world, from the competitiveness of it, and it's difficult because you're playing then your league games in between, so it's physically demanding throughout the year. If Barcelona were to win a Champions League title without winning La Liga, oh, believe me, I'd be happy. But I don't think it's a disappointment if they don't win, like last year. You know, they didn't even win the Europa League, but they got the league. I don't think it was a disappointing season, but it was a good season. We'll say it was a good season. They were consistent in La Liga, and they competed. So, but the expectation definitely is always to compete for La Liga, and we'll see how the Champions League folds out. I think now this roster is an exciting roster that they got put together.
So I'm gonna go. Here's my prediction. Then I'm gonna go Joe, Zach to close it out. Champions League final this year is in Wembley. It's in London. So here's the prediction. There are 4 possible teams on the screen that could be in the Champions League. You got City, Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal. Here's your prediction. One of us will make the UCL final.
City.
Maybe. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it as your cliffhanger so we can run the tape back in May.
City.
Somebody from this screen is going to make the UCL final.
That'd be tight. The winner at home, that'd be tight.
There's a club we haven't talked much about yet.
And he's awful quiet.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Well, the person I was referencing is in the waiting room, and we haven't mentioned his club.
Who's in the waiting room?
You'll have to wait and find out in just a sec.
Uh-oh, we got a surprise.
We do.
It's got to be Cat 5. It's got to be United. I know I'm right.
You are.
gotta
Maybe
be
he's just
Cat 5.
listening, but he.
Yeah.
There he is, and he's wearing the jersey.
Oh,
What it is.
Angela Ray Sean.
I'm not even really here to say much. It's just too much blue on this podcast for me. So I just figured I'd come and add a little red.
I hear you. So let me say this about United. I honestly really believe United finishes 3rd at worst. At worst this year. I think they will actually be in the second year under Ten Hag. I think they'll be actually going to be a lot better than they were last year.
I hope so.
They got a goal scoring problem that they got to figure out.
They have to figure the striker problem is still there. But I just got this feeling that they're going to be.
They got their new number 7, man. He can do it all.
Man, I just
He can do it all, man.
my biggest issue, or not, there wasn't a single signing that wowed me. You know, which, I mean, in recent years we haven't made as many like big time moves like that, but like this year felt really underwhelming. I know there are a lot of United fans that are excited about Mason Mount, but I'm not.
As I told my boy Ron, he's your problem now. Good luck.
It's all right. I have confidence that Garnacho will come through with some great performances. He's
Okay.
He's an upcoming big time talent.
Like
Diego.
if I'm Ten Hag, if Anthony got about 3 games, get about 30. If it doesn't happen in the first 3, young fella, go in, young fella.
Diego, we gotta. Okay, since you want to bring up Garnacho, someone needs to get a hold of that boy and give him some life advice or some fashion advice or something, because whatever he's got going on in his world is just not working, man. Like that boy looks like an alien 99% of the time. Oh,
It's okay. He doesn't need to look the part. He just has to, on the field, put the ball in the back of the net, and then everyone will love him. And he has a high ceiling. Hopefully he can reach it. And not only for United's sake, but also for Argentina's national team, who will soon be going through a big transition once Messi and Di Maria and some of these older veterans start to retire from the national team. A lot of guys need to, step into those roles.
Any of y'all got the stones to pick somebody besides my club to win the Premier League title?
wow. You got some stones on you, sir.
Hey, we won 3 in a row until anything changes. I don't see why you would pick somebody else.
I mean,
Hey, man.
from a competitive standpoint, I mean, I gotta
Hey.
ride with.
I mean,
I mean,
Champions still or not.
the last time we had no European football, we won it all. So why not do it again?
You look at it though. All
Pep
series
wins leagues. Pep
No-
wins leagues.
has won 4 in a row. So is this year, and we talk about this in '94. We talk about this in we're like a Golden State Warriors. When does the fatigue set in of doing this year after year after year? I think City is the favorite. I don't think it's like bet your house on it favorite though.
I take the field.
I do.
You think
If
it's
I had an option, if I had $100 and I could take City or the field, I would take the field this year.
I'm taking City.
Just based on pure odds alone.
I'm taking City. If I'm being honest, I mean, I could be objective all I want as a rival or whatever, but I take City. And to Ron's question about when does the fatigue set in, I think a key part of this fatigue not setting in, and I don't know if it ever really maybe will under Pep, they don't, just like this transfer window, they don't really make drastic changes. And that is typically when you would have some issues and hiccups along the way where you're trying to get a bigger group of players to kind of get on the same system in the same wavelength, whereas they've kind of kept the same team this entire time. And everyone who they have plugged in and replaced has pretty much been a like for like replacement. So they really haven't missed a beat, honestly. I'll
say this though, and this is the only thing I'll say, is that Pep and City have been very, very fortunate to be healthy all these years. As a whole, you've had your injuries just like other teams have, but you haven't been decimated by injuries
like us.
Like Liverpool was that one year.
Last year, even early.
Mm-hmm.
I think
you've had your injuries.
We were playing Fernandinho as a center back and a right back in the Champions League semifinal. I don't want to hear that.
And
that's fine.
I think Joe can kind of attest to a little bit of this, but just watching Pep through the years, Pep's system is he has his roster and he rotates. He tries to avoid, because he knows he's going to compete for, every tournament. That's the goal. And there's a lot of rotation to keep players from, overloading, and try to prevent some of these big injuries. And I think that's part of the reason why he's able to compete and win leagues over and over again. Is, he gets his roster, he gets his guys, they all fit his system, and then it's just about versatility. A lot of versatility in his rosters. I don't know if Joe has anything to add regarding that, but that's kind of the way I've seen it, how he did things in Barcelona.
Yeah, he will not allow the fall off at this point. It would take what Zach's talking about with a rash of injuries to very key players in certain positions that we don't have a real replacement for. There's a couple of guys that are pretty much irreplaceable at this point, but that's what it would, I think, take. And Pep demands so much of them. He finds whatever he can to motivate and to keep that level high. If you just listen to any of the players talk in the media recently, the media personalities have been asking them that same question. You just won the treble. How do you keep, the motivation? How do you keep the drive to keep winning? And this leadership group that's been together for a long time have that mentality of, we want to win every trophy, every game. And with Pep in charge, and then the group that we have in leadership positions, they're not going to let them just fall off. So I have City winning it again. Obviously, I'm not going to be kind of shocker, right, Zach? But yeah, the drop off is not going to, I don't think, happen until Pep decides he's done. And at that point, then there'll likely be a natural regression, even if they bring in where they're obviously going to find a top candidate to take over for him when he decides to go. But the drop off from Pep to pretty much everybody else is going to be real.
So let me ask this then. This will be my question to y'all. Who's the surprise team this year? Who's this year's Newcastle? And who is going to be this year's Chelsea? And let's hope it's not Chelsea.
This year's Newcastle is going to be my man, Good Evening.
Good evening.
My man, Good Evening, Unai. Aston Villa is pretty solid. So I think this year's Newcastle. This year's Chelsea.
Like you talking Aston Villa in the Champions League spots?
I think if you look at it with the fifth spot, I think it's Chelsea, Aston Villa are like the last spot.
We're okay. So I'm mathing here.
You got City, Arsenal, and United. I think those three will finish comfortably in the first three. Liverpool, I strongly like at 4. And then you're talking about Villa or Chelsea for the 5th spot.
So then your other option must be Tottenham. Then this year's Chelsea must be Tottenham.
Oh, I think Tottenham is this year's Chelsea. Absolutely.
Damn, hate to see it.
You want to know what the crazy part is? Who I think this year's Chelsea is? And more so, I'm putting this in respect to where they finished last season. I honestly think it's going to be a red team. Whether it's United or Arsenal, I just have a gut feeling that one of y'all are going to just not show up like y'all did last year.
I don't see any world where Arsenal fall off that far.
I mean, maybe not that far, but again, that's why I say I'm putting it into respect of how they finished last season. Like if Arsenal were to limp into the UCL spots, that would be a huge drop off from last season.
Are you really picking shit by color to the whole internet?
Didn't you just come on this show because of color, sir?
Hey, that's not the point here.
Yeah. Okay. Fucking United fans, I swear.
I mean, I could disrespect Spurs, but I mean, we all do that. I mean, after a while.
How much time we got now? How
We
much
done
time?
technically, but Zach didn't answer his question yet. So
No. The
then
reason
we
I
posed a new
asked,
question.
because that been blowing up my phone. What is the deal going on with the Spurs? And I'm not talking about the San Antonio Spurs, who I love.
Oh,
I've been seeing stuff about the Spurs
Jay-Z, my guy.
management, their players. What is going on?
Oh, it's a shit show of a club.
Oh,
Their owner is a grade A
It's-
idiot.
One of the toughest people to negotiate with or do anything with, basically.
He's like the Daniel Snyder of soccer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the best.
nope,
That's the best way to describe it.
that's a good one.
And it's convenient that they're both named Dan.
That's a good one. Yeah,
And they
pretty much.
got World Cup champions on their team.
They
A lot
do.
of Argentinians.
I
Yeah.
know.
Christian Romero.
Well, you're right. You're right.
Send
I
him
Don't
mean,
you
back.
mention his fucking name.
when people play for Spurs, I mean,
They
tend to be
also got a guy
forgotten.
who booted a PK to the moon in the World Cup.
That is true.
that guy, that guy.
I felt for Harry Kane, man. I really wanted. I don't know if there's another person in the world that wanted it more. I was like, put these guys away.
Nah, I loved it.
That will never not be funny to me.
Tottenham finished what, 8th, right?
I don't know.
I got you.
Everybody finished ahead of us, so I stopped keeping track.
Yes, they finished 8th.
If
There's
they
negative Ron.
if they finish top half of the league, I'll be shocked.
All right.
Be shocked.
All right.
I don't think the Harry Kane thing is out there.
They said no.
Son kind of had a all right. Yeah, they don't. Other than Kane and Son, what do they really have?
They signed Kulusevski full time now.
Mm-hmm.
They did lose somebody though. They lost somebody in midfield. I forgot who it was. I don't want to say it was Højbjerg, but it was somebody who was a big midfield.
Højbjerg's still there.
Like
They have Giovanni Lo Celso
Mm-hmm.
in the midfield, and they just signed
Yes, he can. That's right.
the
They got a new keeper.
Argentinian striker. He's a center striker who I just posted in the group.
I forgot.
What was his name? Alejo. That is his first name.
First, let me try.
He's,
I gotta
yeah.
Is
Joe,
just
I'll find it.
So who do you got as the
Bill
surprise?
Surprise team? Does
Either-
it have to be finishing in a Champions League spot to be a surprise?
No,
Not necessarily.
just this year's
I know who he gonna
Newcastle.
pick. I know he's gonna pick them. I know who his surprise team is.
Tell me.
Burnley.
Yep. That is no.
No,
you know exactly why. No.
I don't.
You don't get to legislate my choice. Okay.
You are so goddamn biased. It's ridiculous.
It's Vincent Company, bro.
Yeah, it's just like-
And I was about to say before you jumped in that it was purely out of hope and want for that to happen, and not from any kind of unbiased, awesome analyst person, Joe. This was strictly.
Joe.
I hope Burnley does really well for Vincent Company's sake.
Joe, do me a
Yes.
favor. Take your
Yeah.
hand out of your pocket because you're so far out of pocket. It's ridiculous.
I'm not on Jack level out of pocket, so let's not.
Not yet, but damn it, that was
catching
awful.
strays. I'm catching strays. Wow, that's crazy.
I got a question. Is this finally the year Everton gets relegated?
No,
God,
hope so.
No, it's like a car crash or something that you wait for it to happen. It's never gonna happen though. It's not. You're just gonna keep waiting for
It was so close last year.
it.
Last 2 years. Last
I'm
2
not-
years.
the end of the season, I didn't root for many things because the disappointing finish. I was really hoping they were going to get relegated. I was
Me too.
really hoping. I think that would have been because it's too easy to pick. Okay, the team that comes up, they go back down. Like that's boring.
No, I get that.
I was really hoping for Everton, lad. I was like, ooh, Please let that happen.
So who's the disappointing team then, Joe?
I was thinking Tottenham too, because I don't think Brighton is going to fall off that far.
I fucking hope so.
I know you two hope so.
I hope they relegate their ass.
I like
spite.
Deserby. I don't think he's going to let them fall too far.
I don't hate them that bad. I just rather
do.
not any further business with them for the near future or 10 years.
If you're looking at like the top 7, I think all of them have a good chance of finishing in that same spot. So if you're looking at somebody who's going to drop down pretty far, I think either Tottenham, Brentford finished 9th, so I don't really feel comfortable picking them as my disappointing team, especially because they got to play half of the season without Mr. Betting himself, Tony.
100% guarantee he's transferred in January.
So, and they haven't done anything. So I think Fulham could have a really tough time. They finished in the top half. I think they might drop to the relegation battle at this point because they punched above their weight most of the season. But if I was to pick a team,
Fulham, Mitchell
got some panache to their name, Tottenham, I would pick them as well because they're a mess.
Yeah, if Fulham lose Mitrovic, I could see them being relegated.
But he's not playing for them again. They already signed a replacement.
Yeah, he's gone.
Mhm.
He's gone.
And it looks like William's gone too.
He's like Lukaku for us. Like he's there, but he's not playing. So
is Lukaku even in London right now? They're not
Hell no, he ain't.
I thought he was back at the
No. They revoked his pass card.
I thought he was though briefly because didn't I thought Post let him come back, but they had like left like that day before or something like that.
No, he told him that he can report the day after they flew to the U.S.
Okay, but he didn't.
That's cold blooded, man. How you gonna leave me off on the tour? That's cold blooded, man.
Did you forget that man's in it?
Let Romelo, let Lukaku come over to the States and hang out for us.
Get that man's interviews. That boy can't ever come back. You hear me? Ever. Ever. Like, no. Nah. No.
Jack has spoken.
And on that note, we're gonna call it a night. Remember, Stoppage Time Football Club is the Facebook group. Stoppage Time FC is the YouTube page. Subscribe, notifications on. Now that the season's really rolling, we probably be back a little bit more frequently. Shout out to Zach, Jack, Joe, Diego, Josh, Trav, all the viewers out there. The beautiful game is back.